Good morning, everybody. Fire Lotus here. Um, Welcome to the live morning witches chat. I have some very exciting news tonight, this morning. Before I get into that, if you hear a dog barking or if you hear the annoying cat that you hear right now, they are perfectly fine. My neighbor has dogs who watches the sheep that they have, so they bark at everything. They're doing their job. And my familiar is just driving me crazy. But he's perfectly fine. He's just doing his little male cat call. Also wanted to say hello, everybody who is listening to me on a podcast. For the people that are listening to me as a podcast, I am so sorry for the random cat calls. I promise you, it's not your cat. It's my cat. Yeah. So with that being said, I have a lot of stuff to go over today. Some very exciting things happened, and I myself were not prepared for it in a very positive way. Yesterday, something happened. I was listening to a podcast, but before I get into that, let me do the intro. Again, good morning, everybody. I'm Fire Lotus. I do these live witches morning chats Monday through Friday, starting from anywhere from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Here recently, though, I've been doing them around 10. But I do these. We go over anything from spirituality, religion, magic, magic theory, spell theory, spirit theory, all types of theories. Conspiracy theories. The only thing we do not talk about, and I do not talk about in this entire podcast, good morning, is politics. Just no. It's just going to cause a fight. Nobody's going to agree. People will agree, then they'll disagree. Yeah, no. But with that being stated, some very new things are going to happen. Now, of course, for the people that are viewing this, I'm doing my thing where I'm trying to share as much as possible. But the very cool thing is guess what? I have been talking about doing podcasts. I have been doing podcasts. I believe I have 4 episodes out now on the app that I was using, Castbox. But wait for it. There's a lot of news in this. Like, holy shit, y'all. I was listening to another podcast on Spotify, and I was personally having issues figuring out, like, how I could actually get my episodes up on Spotify and actually have it, like, play them and all of that. And it just so happens that I found, thanks to a random podcast that I was following, due to that, I realized that there's an app called Anchor. I think, and the actual website to it, I believe it's like Anchor.fm or something like that. I'll post a link shortly after this. But the reason that is so cool was because through this app, I've been approved and certified to broadcast on Spotify. Yes, everybody who is seeing this, everybody who is listening to this, you can officially listen to my live morning witches chats recorded to be turned into a podcast on Spotify. As of right now, there are 2 episodes out on Spotify. All you have to do is go to the Spotify tag or Spotify search box and type in Fire Lotus the Witch, and I should pop up. So that's the first big announcement. And for anybody who has been following me on this, I was like, I don't know why Spotify meant so much to me for me to be able to actually broadcast on that platform. But I am so excited. Like, I screamed probably for about 5 to 10 minutes last night when I got the email stating that, like, I've been approved to do my podcast on Spotify. I was like, oh my god, I'm so excited. With that comes more. Oh, and everybody who is listening, the Native American deck that I've been breaking down, that we've started breaking down, is and I will actually read the book, that way I get the right title. It is the Spirit of the Will Meditational deck. And we will be going over 4, card number 4 today. So, that will be done. But, with that, wait for it, people. I personally had a personal goal that I'd set. I don't think I really talked about it on here, but it was personally set for me, for my page. This page, Fire Lotus the Witch. Thank you. I personally wanted to say thank you to everybody who has been watching these, who has been sharing these, who has been talking about these, because guess what? We have officially broke 200. Yes, that is right, people. We officially broke 200 likes on this page, and I believe we're at 200 and something on the followers. The reason I'm saying that is great news is because I only started this at the beginning of the year. Actually, I think I started this page in August, or I started using this page in August. So from August till now, we broke that small goal that I had set to get at least 200 people. Because now I'm realizing that these things are going places, you know, they're resonating with people. And that's why I've been branching out so much, doing the podcast, news on my YouTube. I know I have not posted anything, I think, since last Saturday. That will change. If I go into town tomorrow, like I'm planning on it, that will change. All the videos will be up, on posted, and on top of that, I will also be doing more podcasts. With the podcast, and now that I'm on Spotify, I'm trying to figure out if I want to go ahead and like make a season of all the lives that I've done, or just continue with these. I'm still figuring that out, but yeah, that it made my week. Like, I've had a lot of things in the past month that, like, made this month. Y'all being one of these. Y'all have helped me out so much. Y'all have no idea. But it was just a personal goal. And now that I'm on Spotify, I should be able to get verified on Instagram a little bit better. And that just opens up more doorways. Because currently, right now, I'm running, which hopefully very soon I will actually have to, haven't figured it out, but I've got to find some help to help me listen to my videos and like write down keywords or like key subjects that I've talked about. That way, when I do upload them to a podcast, I can, you know, put a better info about what that episode's going to be about. And then posting links on all the stuff that I said I was going to do. I haven't done that. I know that. I've been slipping. I'm sorry. But, yeah, I'm doing all of this by myself, which I don't mind. I love it because it's showing me that I can do more than I thought I could. And it's helping me grow. Like, if you go back and watch my very first video I made on YouTube to these, mind-blowing. But, so, without that being stated, I did not do something that I normally do. I did it, but I did not talk. I'm sorry, I got excited. Like always, for the people that are viewing and for the people that are listening to me as a podcast, I just use my very good friend's sage vibrational spray that was charged under the full moon. Her apothecary is 3 Sleeping Eyes Apothecary. She has an Instagram, a Facebook, a Etsy. She also has a Facebook group to where she releases she releases her stuff there in the group before she necessarily releases it on her site. So yeah, you should totally check her out. I'm telling y'all, you will not be disappointed if you go to 3 Sleeping Eyes Apothecary. With that, another thing that I have to do, and then 2 other announcements. Everybody who doesn't know, which you should know if you're keeping up with these, if you haven't already, download Astro Matrix, the app. It will save your life. Basically, what that app does, if you've ever wanted a personalized horoscope, download the app. The only thing you will need is the time you were born and the place that you were born. That will create it will pull your birth chart and or natal chart, which is basically a screenshot of the universe and the exact moment you popped into the world. With that, you can predict major life events. You can do so much other stuff. It also breaks you down. You get to learn more deeply about yourself. But the app is completely free. They do have a subscription plan, but I think the only thing that does is kind of take the ads away. It is in both stores, the Apple and iPhone store, or Apple store. It is free. Good morning! Yay! If you do download the app, though, the only thing I did suggest, because I've talked to the creator of it, make sure you turn your GPS coordinates on while you're using the app. That way you can get better coordinates on the planets and stuff. You get hourly updates of the moon, when the moon goes where, like yesterday or day before yesterday when the eclipse happened. As I was prepping my magic stuff that I was doing, I actually got the notification that the eclipse started through the app. It also has a retrograde calendar, so you can literally, this app has changed my life in so many ways, and when it comes to my spirituality, it has helped raise my vibrations through learning the most important thing, myself. Why things happen, because I believe in the craft and spirituality. Before, it's like getting in a relationship. Before you can get into a new relationship, you have to love yourself and you have to be okay with yourself. If you don't, then when you do get in that relationship, your insecurities will cause issues. That's the same way in magic. Like I've been telling you, or like I've been saying, you need confidence in your craft. You need confidence in yourself. You need to have it. You need to have so much confidence that if you literally made a candle turn blue and then freeze itself and then explode, random example, explode, or if, you made it rain in July, you need to have so much confidence in you that when somebody comes to you and they tell you that's not real, that's not what... Oh, I'm sorry, I will also post a link to it really quick too while I've got that open. Astro Matrix. It is an amazing app. This right here will take you to the web browser, but I believe it will also open up on the phone. If you're using a phone, it should open up that way. But I personally did want to thank y'all. Again, I'm going to be doing this all through this episode. Again, thank you so much. I broke 200 likes on my page and 200 followers. Holy cow. What's insane, y'all, is that my stats on my page... This is all because of y'all, honestly, and everybody else that has been helping. I am pushing, and the audience and the numbers and stuff like that, I'm bringing in on views and like interactions on the page, I'm bringing in what I would have to pay Facebook daily to do by promoting my page. I'm doing it without paying them. That's so much of an accomplishment. And it's also, y'all, like, all the people that have been with me since these pages started, so much, like, y'all have helped me so much. And for the people that are joining, big announcement, on top of hitting and breaking 200 page likes, I'm officially on Spotify. So I will still be on CastBox too, but the reason I wanted to talk about... Oh, I got excited really quick. Hold on, let me go back. You need confidence in yourself. You need so much confidence in yourself that if somebody comes to you and tells you that's not real, you will literally stand your ground and will not back down. Once you have that, literally the limits are impossible, it's limitless, basically. You will become limitless in your craft and your abilities because you no longer have that doubt. And like I stated before, doubt kills everything. Doubt kills relationships, it kills confidence, it kills magic, it kills witchcraft, everything. It's bad, it's poison. No. That's why I stated before in a self-positive video that literally, I think it was like 4 or 5 minutes long, but it's for self-positive, which is for all the people that struggle with any type of mental, I hate using this term, but mental illness or anything like that. If you're having trouble with your weight or anything like it, or if you think you're too skinny, anything like that, you need a support system, 1 or 2 to 3 to possibly 4 people that when you tell them, when you go through a depression like me, when I go through some of my depression, it takes everything I have just to get out of bed in the morning time to use the bathroom or to feed the cats. And if I were to text that to like a normal person that hasn't been through struggles or anything like that, they would be like, okay, great, you're up and you're going. But if I were to text, say, my partner, for example, and I'm like, well, I'm out of bed, I washed the dishes, I fed the cats, he would literally he would applaud me. He's like, and what I mean by that is you need a support system that, to what would seem on the outside world a very, very small task, for a person who's battling stuff like that, fibromyalgia, anything like that, anything that causes us pain or medically causes us not to be able to fully be at 100% all the time. A lot of that stuff, it's not like bruises. It's not like plastered all over people's body like, hey, I have fibromyalgia, or hey, I have anxiety, or hey, I have depression. It's not tattooed all over us. So, for one, always keep that in mind. Just because you're witnessing something, you don't necessarily always know what's going on. That saying, don't judge a book by a cover, when it comes to humans, that's even more true because we have very, very thick skins. So, when it comes to, this is slightly darker and slightly trigger word, but when it comes to all the celebrities that have lost their lives due to, they've lost the battle of suicide, they were some of the happiest people you'd know. But at the end of the day, behind closed doors, it's not like that. So, have confidence, and you got to have a very, very great support system. Now, on to a cheerier note. The reason I got so excited about the actual app that I discovered, which is Anchor, I believe that is the app, is... This is mainly for the the listeners to the podcast, because I don't exactly know how I'm going to do this, but I finally figured out a way that I can slowly get paid. It's kind of like YouTube, where, demonetized and stuff, to where you have to have 1,000 views and then they pay you. Well, with this app and me using it, once I get a certain amount of plays on a podcast, and this will not be in all of the podcasts, this will only be in a few of them, but I basically have to, on the intro to the podcast or somewhere in the podcast, advertise about the app that I'm using to create that, which I will. So that will be the only actual paid advertisement at one point in time. That's the thing that will be coming in. But anything else you hear me talk about in these videos, I'm not being paid for it. No paying. But they're just amazing things. With that being stated, if you have a small business and you see this, if you have a small business, anything like that, let me know, please. If it's online, send me a message, send me links, and I will help advertise, because that's what this is about. These videos, these podcasts, this content is also about helping the small business people. The people that we are trying to be entrepreneurs, we're trying to do our own shit against the grain, and this is a great way of me getting that out there. I checked the stats, and what's insane is some of these lives, they have reached all the way to Canada. They have reached, one of them was Bangladesh. There was another one in Dubai. I'm reaching people worldwide, and I'm like, whoa. I understand I'm using the internet, but whoa. So yes, there are a lot of things. I did want to state that, I believe I posted it. That candle that I posted on my page, I still can add names to it. I personally charge some, wax under the eclipse and some paper, to where if anybody else sees this and you still want in, you theoretically have time, because you've got at least until Tuesday. I will need to know by Tuesday if you would like to be into this New Year's thing, because the candle itself is fully charged. It was literally put together during the eclipse and new moon. I actually think I put it together the night before it, or right before it processed, and then, yeah. But basically, I've been working on it for 2 days. And I can still add names. Like I said, I have more ingredients to make another candle. If I get enough names, I will make another candle. And for the people that don't know what I'm talking about, I will show it to you really quick. This is the custom. And yes, I know, for the people, I'm just going to go ahead and tell you this. Not all magic is pretty. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you that now. Not all magic is aesthetically pleasing. But this is the 2020 candle that I have created, and I've been burning and charging, and that has everybody who got with me and heard the announcement, that has all of everything you asked for in it. I'm not going to go into the full processing of how I make these candles, but everything is in it. It is fully charged, and it's amazing. It's because that right there was unexpected. The yellow color, unexpected, but I love it. Let me read that app. Let me read that. What kind of working is it? It is basically how I've done it is it's candle magic. The very basis of it is candle magic with a lot of other things on the outside of it. But basically send me a list of things that you want to manifest in your life in 2020. Now, when I mean this, I understand most people say wealth and, but try to think of other things. A lot of people actually, everybody asks for prosperity, which is fine because we all need prosperity. But a lot of people, I was very shocked because they asked for strength in their spirituality and strength in their confidence, and to, like, they were using it in a very positive way, which is incredible. But I will light this. This will be lit in a ritual with an offering to the ancestors, to all of the ancestors worldwide, on New Year's. And I will be burning this as we literally, the ball drops and it becomes 2020. I will be burning it, and then I will also be burning it throughout the year. So the nights that I do burn it, I'm not going to burn it for like an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours, but I will burn it to make sure. Primarily what I'm going to do is on the full moons, more than likely on the full moons is when I'm going to burn it. So, and like I said, I made sure I have enough content outside of this that is still charged with that, and then it also has some of this in it. And for the people that are listening to this as a podcast, this is a jar of storm, hurricane, rain, moon, solar, all types of little waters that I've collected throughout the decade, and I added them all together, including hurricane water and tornado water. So yeah, that's in there. Lots of power. On top of that, I also revamped the Blood Moon Eclipse oil that I had made later last year, I believe. The last time we had the blood eclipse, and we could actually see it here in America, I created a dragon's blood oil with that. So all of that, basically almost some of the most powerful stuff that I have, all went into that candle. And actually there is a I don't know if I posted it on the page. I also have to advertise about the group too. But during it, while I was charging it, I had primary 4 candles. Yes, manifestation work. I had 4 candles representing the 4 elements and stuff. And let me tell you, when those tea light candles burned down, I kid you not, all of them. They didn't do it all at the same time. But instead of just like a normal, tea light candle where it just kind of burns out and then it just poofs, it just goes out. No. The entire container that these candles were in, there is a huge flame streaking up from it. So, with that, what I mean by that is when you do candle magic of any type, through how the flame works, how the candle itself works, and how the wax works, it can predict how that magic is going to do, or how it's going to be. What I mean by that is, if you light a candle and the flame is very tall, it doesn't flicker, it's just tall and it's bright. That basically means, what that's indicating to you is that there are no blockages in the spell. The energy is going straight through. Like, it's not like, you're in the sticks and you have bad cell phone service. It's going completely through. If you have a candle that flickers or dances, that could be an indication that there is some type of resistance, that that energy is having a hard time manifesting or being directed the way it's supposed to be. With wax, for example, I did an eclipse. On that eclipse one, actually, the spell that I did, the board that I'm using on and that I broadcast on, I'll post a picture of it. My partner burned some stuff into it, wood burned. So it is a pentagram. It has all the solstices in the center of the circle. On the outside, it has all the horoscopes. It has a place for the sun and the moon, and then it has the pyramid, north-south, the elemental pyramids on each corner of it, and then all around it, he created a custom spell in runes to where you can only do positive magic using this board. And the reason I bring this up and I went into detailing is because how my candles melted during the eclipse, I didn't understand it then, and I still have pictures of it because I go back to it, but every single thing that I manifested or I wanted to bring in using that eclipse's energy, all of it worked. Like, honestly, that magic was some of the strongest magic I've ever done. And the reason I'm saying that is because one of them was to find a perfect job for my partner. Literally, a week later, if that, he walked in and just randomly the application was posted as soon as we got to where we were at, and everything had lined up so fast and so swiftly that we went from stressing because we both had just been laid off from a restaurant job where they fired everybody. And this was this was the beginning of January. Literally, we got fired the day after New Year's or the day before New Year's. Like they fired like 20 to 25 people of their entire staff. So we were kind of like, oh shit. And it was also one of those moments where we financially, we were finally getting up there. We were getting to that comfortable point, and then the universe had other plans, and, the entire floor beneath us fell out, but I used that eclipse energy, and he manifested the perfect job. But it was the wax, because some of the wax met and mixed together in a way that, basically what I'm trying to say, if you use candle magic, if you use one of these, which is one of the glass candles, to where it's just a glass beaker and the candle's inside of it, depending on how the outside of that, if there's soot built up, depending on the candle you use is depending on how you can read it. But the tapestry candles, or what my personally favorite, the emergency candles that you can get at Family Dollar or Dollar General for like $1, and I think 6 come in the box. Or birthday candles. All of though birthday candles or emergency candles are some of the best candles to use, in my opinion. And the reason that is because, again, if you have a white candle in witchcraft or in magic can be used like a clear quartz. It can be, in other words, it can represent other colors or other images, or a clear quartz, if you're using actually, say you needed 5 candles and you only had 4. You can actually use a clear quartz to stand in for that other candle, because it's the way of its the abilities and the metaphysical properties of the crystal. It's the universal crystal, so it can be programmed to honestly do anything. White candles are the exact same way. You can visualize it being a different candle or a different color, but pay attention to how the wax melts. Pay attention to how it melts. Now, with that being stated, if you do candle magic, preferably do it in a room that, doesn't have airflow. What I mean by that is, back here in my craft room, unless I open the window, there's no air rotation, because we don't have central heating and air, so we use the air conditioner. But if I were to go in the living room, for example, and do candle magic up there, due to the simple fact of the current of the air, the look-wise and how the candle would react would have 2 different types of outcomes. Now, do I believe that actually affects the magic? I'm not really for sure. That still goes into the whole, there are some people, and there are some cultures who believe you were supposed to snuff out a candle. There are other people who believe that you were supposed to cleanse a candle. Let me read this comment. If you do cleansing candle spell, do you have to get rid of the candle after it's burned to liquid and then return it back to wax? Hopefully that's asked the question. That's actually a really good question, and thank you for asking me that. For the people that do candle magic, basically what the question was what do you do with the remains? Do you melt it completely down until it's nothing? Do you throw it away? I think that's what you were asking. With me, yes, for one, it is all in your beliefs. With me, personally, what I do, and a lot of people will say against this, you can bury it. If you do bury it, depending on what spell, anything to do with bindings, banishings, or anything that would be considered gray or negativity, I would not per se bury that on your property. But what I do, unless it is a client's spell, if it is client candle magic, then I have another way, and I basically discard of it. I'll take it off, or in my fire pit, I'll have a fire, and I'll specifically make that fire to where all the leftover wax that I have from spells will be burned and sent back into the world. But when it comes to my magic that I do, not for clients, that I do for me, everybody else, and just life, I actually save all of that wax, that's leftover wax. And then I'll actually melt that all down and create a candle with it. And to me, the reason I do that is because you have a bunch of candles, or you have a bunch of waxes, because I do believe that wax can keep, hold in that energy and that magic. It's like using a charm, honestly. And I've tried to make wax charms, but depending on the wax, it can get a little wonky and weird. But it does depend on what you believe. It depends on if you are on a specific path. But traditionally, people say you can burn it. You can bury it off your property and let it return back into the earth. But like I said, if it has anything to do with a negative spell or anything like that, I would not keep that. If you do keep it, get a box or some type of bag and get a black cloth and put salt in the black cloth and then pour that wax in there and wrap it up. That is how I keep stuff that I do, like if I do any bindings or anything like that. If I do anything that could be considered negative to people, or even negative to me in a negative gray way, I actually have 1 to 2 boxes that I only open them to put more malice stuff in it. And, of course, you can do sigils and magic symbols of protection all around and inside the box. That way, when it's closed, it's literally like its own little, like, jail, I guess, like prison. I keep my rednecks on my property for working to bring them to me. Yes, actually, I love that. One of my followers, friends, I keep all my remains on my property for working to bring things to me, for working to make things go away. I will take it to a crossroad. See, it's so funny that you mentioned a crossroad, because I have lived like crossroads. A lot of the places that I've lived have all been crossroads. And what's insane was I never realized how magical crossroads can be. Like currently right now, the property that I'm on, there are technically 2 3-way crosses and 1 4-way cross before you even leave my driveway. But the problem with that is, like, my neighbors already think I'm crazy. So, like, if I'm walking through my yard with, like, some type of light at 3 o'clock in the morning, doing something in the middle of a crossroad, I honestly don't know how they would take that. Like, legit do not know how they would take that. Which, I mean, I don't really care because I'm respectful. See, it's also been, there's been one time, hold on. There's been one time, because all the times that I've ever practiced magic or been in a magic state, a magic mind state, besides the time that I went to the public gathering at, in Mount Cheehaw, they've always been, like, on my property, except for when I lived in Lineville. When I lived in Lineville, Alabama at one point, when I was younger, we lived, right behind the city graveyard. So, literally, you walk out the apartment that I was staying at and walk up a hill, and you're in smack dab in this huge graveyard. And it was very cool because my partner that I was with, we were doing something different from any other partner that I've ever been with, which was, instead of me learning, like, his craft, we were trying to learn together to create, like, our own tradition. He's the one that introduced me to Christopher Pinzak's, the Temple series. And why I'm speaking of that, I will go ahead and, actually, like, post a link to that book. Because it's a really good, like, really, really good, but it's a really good book for anybody who is a sprout. My term, for the people that don't know, a sprout is basically, I believe this is it. Yep. A sprout is a newer person to the craft. I don't like using the word baby or newbie, or baby witch. So I was like, Fire Lotus, why not sprout? Because what happens, you'll sprout and eventually you'll blossom and you come into a lotus. You turn into a lotus. And there's the link to his author page, but it also puts his books. But we were in the graveyard in the middle of the night, and we had, like, the cops normally, routine ride through, and we had like 15 tea lights circled around us in this circle. And I don't remember what we were doing, but I started freaking out because I was like, "Holy shit! We've already been warned before. We used to walk a lot at night. Preferably, I love it. I love walking at nighttime, especially if I'm in a city environment, just due to the simple fact it's like the world is dead. It's very magical too. It can be, but I was like, oh shit, we've already been caught once, and he told us that theoretically, if he really wanted to, he could, like, arrest us for trespassing, even though we weren't doing anything. He also did it for a safety thing. But anyways, so I started freaking out a little bit, and my partner was like, it's okay, like, the goddess has us, just ask her to shield us, and we did. And I shit you not, I still don't know how this happened, besides just straight up magic. The cop car went directly past us. Like, not, like, closely. Like, there's space between the other road that he was on. It was like a crossroad, I guess. But he should have saw us, just due to the weird aura that the candle lights themselves were giving off in the middle of a graveyard. But we didn't get seen. And, like, we were able to perform our magic. And that kind of ties into, that's one of the reasons, like, traditionally, witches, this huge new movement since, I'd say, the 90s, of more people coming out and, like, wearing their shit proudly like I do, that's fairly new. Because traditionally, you were supposed to... Oh yeah, I've learned in cemeteries, but I will, cautionary to cemeteries and the people who work in cemeteries, if you are not experienced, and I will say under 5 years, the only reason I'm saying this is because the experience that I had, and this was actually the year that I was initiated into the craft, but I had been practicing for 3 prior to that. Yeah, a lot of things are in graveyards. They're not negative at all. They're not evil, nothing like that. They are old. And what I mean by that is you will come across things that, like I've stated before, the way that I view it, it's like, you know, they're all around us in general. And then when we do magic, it's like somebody lighting a candle and a beacon comes on. So they kind of get curious. And... yeah, you will experience shit and see shit, and you may at first, like I did, when I first experienced what I experienced and what I saw with my own eyes, at first I took that as a negative thing, but it was actually just fear. It wasn't negative. I wasn't picking up negativity from the entity at all. Actually, the only thing that I got from that entity that I saw was very old, and, very old and curious. That was it. But due to the simple fact I was not experienced in shielding myself and knowing, you know, what my limitations are, it scared me to a point to where I threw up a mental shield that it is almost taken until now for me to slowly bring that down to where all of my abilities are completely there. And that kind of leads into another thing, but before I get into that, traditionally, witches were supposed to hide in the night. Not necessarily hide as in they're fearful of the light, but it was to do your works in the shadows. It was to be there, but to be unseen. That is a true witch. A true witch is a person that can be there and be around everybody who, you know, like, say a witch hunt was happening, to be there in the center of it and nobody have the wiser. But at the same time, the word witch just means wise woman or wise man. Elder, wise, cunning, and I also slightly, like, I'm not getting into that, but, and it was through that, like, I've had small moments like that, and those small moments have, like, been very profoundly, but it's so weird. Remember yesterday, for the people who tuned in yesterday, I think it was yesterday, or day before yesterday, this week has me so messed up. It was either Monday's or yesterday's live. I talked about how I was in Facebook groups, which is perfectly fine, And I've been seeing a lot of people post their altars that are new to this. And if you see this, and if you don't see this, somebody really quick, because I don't know if I can. No, I can't. Somebody, if you can see the time of this video right now, I don't know if you can or not. If you can, kind of like make a mental note, because I can't right now, but this is extremely important. If you are a newbie, if you are a sprout, if you're a sprout, if you're new to the spirituality, to the craft, or if you're seasoned and you're just coming back for, do not, as tempting as it is, this kind of goes into the support group. For the newbies out there, try to find a few people, 1 or 2 people that you can go to, but not to ask, is this right or wrong? Just to, because I know, trust me, I love getting that feeling of when you first dive into the witchcraft, you get so excited, everything excites you. It's like a kid going into a candy store, everything is new, everything's exciting, and you want to do it all. Trust me, I understand that. I sometimes get that way too. And I know what it's like to when, like, you've done extraordinary magic and you're just proud of yourself and doing it, and you don't have anybody to send it to who would truly understand it. That's where these support groups, I guess, or, that small clique of people, you need a small group of people, even if it's one or 2 people, and they don't have to practice, but they will be able to give you positive feedback, as in, wow, that's incredible, I bet that, that's great. But if you are new, I know as much as you would love to post your pictures of your altar, and you can post them on social media, but don't ask if it's right or wrong, and don't ask and don't take anybody, basically don't change what naturally came to you to set your altar up. Yes, in books, there are all these books that state if you don't have your altar set up this way, then either A, your magic's not going to work, B, you're going to piss off or offend one of the gods and goddesses or spirits or ancestors, whatever you work with. That's bullshit. It's complete, utter bullshit. Unless you are specifically working on a specific path, aka Wicca or something like that, then literally you can have a coffee cup, a Mountain Dew, and boiled peanuts on your table, and that could be an altar. I don't know to what, but that could be an altar. You do not have to have everything specifically. You don't have to have candles left and right, north and south. I always said witchcraft is sacred. Is scared, not many know what to do, who I am, but it helps me for all I'm coming out. I had to teach myself using my only mind. Yes, exactly. It's your magic. And with me and the whole coming out of the broom closet, I know a lot of people aren't. With me, my experience of coming out of the broom closet was a hell of a lot better than my experience of coming out of the actual closet. But what I went through those processes, I've had multiple times where, like, I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna resign from posting all this stuff, and I'm just gonna go back to being a normal person in everybody else's eyes. And there were 2 incidences that happened, and I can't quite remember what they were, but they were so found that I was like, you know what, fuck this shit, fuck it. Like, I grew up in Alabama, so if you're watching this, you already know I don't fit that quota, that look. And when I was younger, I went through the whole emo stage. And yes, I can say emo because I was fucking emo. Right time period and everything. But so obviously I already was drawing attention to myself. And then I used to dye my hair. I still dye my hair. So I was like, well, fuck it. If they're going to stare at me anyways, I might as well give them the entire whole show. But the reason I dove so much into doing research in what I wear and stuff is that way if somebody comes up, because like this one right here, slightly different pentagram than I normally wear, but it was a gift from my partner, but the other pentagram, basically the reason I love wearing one is because even if somebody comes up to me and they're like, oh, you're a Satanist or something like that, even if they disagree with me, I will be able to educate them on, no, correction, that's actually just Hollywood BS. This is what the actual pentagram stands for. And to anybody, because I've been on many rants about this, to anybody who sees this, if you are not a practitioner and you just like wearing pentagrams and magic symbols and stuff like that, that's great. Great. You're representing a huge movement. That's perfect. Do your fucking research, though, on what those symbols mean. That way, if you have somebody coming up to you, accusing you, or asking you why you're wearing it, you're not going to give them the other stupid, uneducated, well, it's not stupid, but uneducated info on what that symbol is. I live in Florida now, which is so weird to say because I spent my entire life thinking I would never live to Florida. My biggest fear of living to Florida, and I always used to say it when I was younger, was I was so afraid that I would move to Florida, get my dream house or something like that, and then all of a sudden a hurricane come and just wipe everything off the map. That hasn't happened yet, the wiping it off the map. But at the same time, I've always been called to Florida, or particularly not where I'm technically at right now. The thing, I'm more drawn to the coast, like those small coastal fishing towns and stuff. That's what I'm drawn to, but where I'm at is perfect. But yeah, I'm in Florida now. The great state. I'm trying to share this to people, if you're wondering why I'm like all the way over here and not looking at the screen. Okay, because I woke up early this morning. Oh, sweet, I didn't know that. Which is awesome, because eventually I will be talking about sometime this coming year, trying to do a meetup. And I want to do a location to where, like, anybody and everybody can try to get to it. And it'll be kind of public, but kind of private, too. There's a lot of things that I have to, that's in the works. But right now, it's just me doing them. Which is fine, because I know the universe is not going to give me more than I can take on. But yeah. Back to what I was... Sprout, newbie. You can post your stuff, you can post your stuff online, but if somebody tells you, oh, you should move this and you should move that, don't do it. Again, people, and like it was stated in the comments, when you're new to the craft, there's so much, a lot of people don't know where to go, so they tend to go on the groups, and they're like, oh, where should I go? Where should I go? No. Yes, you can ask for advice and stuff like that, but everybody forgets it's a craft. It's your magic, your individuality. Think of it as an artist. Every single artist, no matter what type of art they do, they have their signature look. Oh, I'm, not to give my exact location away, but, I live right outside of, Gainesville. Well, not right outside, but I live outside Gainesville. So I think I'm in the southwest portion of the state. Central, southwest, central state. I don't know. I'm smack dab in the middle of the swamp. But yes. Speaking of that, to anybody who's listening to this, if you do have a Facebook and use a Facebook, find my page, Fire Lotus the Witch, and like it. For the people that are watching this, which I think that the people that are watching this, that I can see are watching this, I believe y'all are already in the group. But I have a private group called Dwellers of the Hollow. If you are interested in learning more, kind of specialized more about how I am with my craft and my spiritual beliefs and stuff like that, plus exclusive content, we'll start to be posting more and more on there, of kind of behind the scenes of me and my life. But it's also a way to bring people together and to help them explore their own paths and stuff like that, and not have to worry about like 150 other people chiming in. Me and Florida have a love-hate relationship. And I'm actually, that's going to be a great podcast. You just gave me an idea. But, yes, and for the people that are listening to this, if you don't want to like my page, just go to YouTube and type in Dwellers of the Hollow. It is a private group, so I don't know if it will come up, but yeah, I do have that. So yeah, I did want to talk about that. But Florida is very interesting. Most states have their own, like, in a way, you could kind of say states themselves, they're their own entity. Because, like, you know, we have rednecks and country people in Alabama, but depending on where you are, depending on what type of southern or country or redneck you're going to get. Florida, on the other hand, Florida is a very, very interesting state because, and I've heard Louisiana is like this, or New Orleans, but the reason it is so weird is because it is one of those states to where there are one to two things is going to happen, which is either A, you're going to come down to Florida, or you're going to move to Florida and you're going to make it and everything's going to go great, or Florida is going to spit you out, chew you up, and spit you out twice. That happened to me one of the first years I moved here. I think I was only here like 6 months, and then I went back for another 6 months, and then came back here. But Florida is one of those states due to how much of a mixing, like, cauldron of just mixing cultures and, like, everything, honestly. And then not to mention Florida's aquifer, so that right there in itself, it's power. You have the swamps, you have the legends, you have all this other stuff. Florida is insane. Like, there are some aspects that I cannot stand and I hate about it, but like you said, I don't think I could ever move either. And it's very weird because I've stated in a video, besides the particular land that I'm living on right now, I have not been able to fully connect to yet. And I don't know if that's just because it's here and it's not my, like, homegrown turf like Alabama would be. But the land here, the woods here, everything has a different feeling. And even when you go different parts in Florida, they all have a different feeling. And a lot of people don't really talk about that. So, like, everybody who lives in Florida, if you have a well on your property, literally you're drinking spring water. That, like, the other day, it actually hit me, because I'm like, well, shit. You know, I have to do this cleansing bath, and I'm going to have to fill up the bath water and all this stuff. And it dawned on me, and I'm like, wait. Your aquifer is a natural spring, so therefore you're getting spring water naturally. Boom! Mic drop. So literally every single time you take a shower, you could theoretically try to call upon the energy or the spirit of that water, that healing water, to help heal you. Nobody talks about that, though. And yes, swamp magic is something I have to get into. I've heard about it, but I've never truly experienced it, and I'm guessing it's a mix of, like, kind of hoodoo and conjuring work mixed with, well, the basic ingredients around you, which is swamp. And that's one of the things that I have to figure out how to incorporate into my craft, which is the lake. Because our lake is weird. It's big, but at the same time, during certain parts of the seasons, it actually shrinks to a point to where I can walk about 5 to 10 feet out into the lake without actually hitting water. It's more marshy and, kind of marshy, but I love it. It's perfect, and I just have to figure out ways to incorporate that into it, which I haven't done yet. And I normally do not smoke on here because I know some people don't like it, but you know what? Screw it. But no, like, and then St. Augustine's, let me tell y'all, I gotta tell y'all this. So, my first experience, which I've had them before, of anxiety and whatnot, my father-in-law and mother-in-law got married in St. Augustine's at the Lionsgate Hotel. It's the giant hotel in, like, the center. And For one, when I did live in Alabama, I was very structured, I guess, and I only had certain locations that I would actually go, and that was my life. Nothing else. Like work, home, couple friends' house, a couple stores. That was it. Um, so like going to major big events where there's a shit ton of people, I was not used to that. I'm not used to that. I lived in Enterprise, which is a big city, kind of. It's a big town. We'll say that. So coming to Gainesville, when I first moved here, I lived in Gainesville. So coming here, it was a complete shock. But going to St. Augustine's, on the other hand, we got there and we could not find the hotel. So we were, doing what tourists do, trying to stumble around. Well, what I did not know what St. Augustine was. Besides, it's the oldest settlement in the state of Florida, except for a newer one that they just discovered and they're still investigating. That's on a coast. But we had to walk through downtown historical St. Augustine's. And when I mean and say historical Augustines, I mean there are structures that are still standing that were built before the United States became the United States. So this is very, very old, and there's a shit ton of stuff happening in St. Augustine. So we're walking, we get to the wedding, I have the first time ever, we talked about it. This is kind of going to be like, me and my partner had always talked about drinking martinis together because I'd never had a true martini. At the wedding, we got to experience the martini. But it was coming back. Coming back, we were on a tight time schedule, and we were like 20 minutes late from originally leaving. Well, poor planning, I guess. What nobody knew until the day of the wedding was St. Augustine's was holding one of the biggest fish fry celebrations that they have. So by the time we get done and we actually get out of the hotel and we're starting to find our truck, it went from there were a few people there to this entire place just went boom with people. There were so many people there. And we're walking through back to our truck. We're going down. We pass the original cemetery in the middle. And, I'm talking about this is cobble. There were places where it was just cobblestone walkway. And, oh, yes, it was. It was full of energy and so active. But I was not used to that. And for anybody who's never experienced it, if you have psychic abilities or if you have any type of gifts or abilities, and you come into contact with a spirit, your body, it comes off as anxiety due to the simple fact your body doesn't know how to interpret it, what it's feeling. So by the time we actually got in the truck and shut the door was what triggered it. I had a full-on, my first true panic/anxiety attack. And I had no fucking idea what was going on either. I just knew that, everything was just too much. And, I was feeling so many emotions. And it was very weird because as we were walking through the crowd, I guess I was going through a hypersensitive moment where, my ears and eyes were, my ears were trying to lock on to certain sounds. And then my eyes were trying to lock onto certain stuff. But I realized after I left and started doing research that we walked through one of the most oldest still standing settlements in the continental United States. So that triggered my anxiety. And through that, I realized that I'm extremely sensitive to places like that. Because before, minus Horseshoe Bend Park, I'd never been to any major historical, battleground or anything to where, blood or major dramatic events had happened. That was my first time. And I realized, I was like, holy shit, I have a huge respect now for spiritual things and stuff. And, it's so funny because right after that, I told my partner, I was like, I want to go to Louisiana. I'm being drawn, for the past 4 to 5 years, I've been drawn to Louisiana. And I have no idea why. And it's not necessarily, the witches and all the other voodoo and shit like that. It's literally, I can look, or when I'm watching stuff about New Orleans or Louisiana, there are moments to where, like, I'll see certain streets or certain things, and it's like it feels home to me. So I'm assuming I had some type of past life there, because normally that's what it means. Like Ireland, for example. I'm obsessed with Ireland. I'm obsessed with Irish. I always have been. No matter what mood I'm in, you play some Irish music. New Orleans is the same way, except it's the whole city for me. I heard about that. I heard that New Orleans, it's kind of like Florida. When you get there, you're either going to make it or it's going to spit you out and, boop. But I can listen to Irish music, and no matter what mood I'm feeling, if I listen to it, I'm calm. Like, I have such a strong pull to go to Ireland. It's not even funny, and I can't explain it, but it feels like home. And it's so weird because I've never been there, but it automatically feels like home. So I have a lot of neat adventures that I plan on doing stuff with that. Hopefully one day I will be able to make it out there. But big things are happening. What was I about to say? There was some stuff that I wanted to talk about. I thought about it yesterday. I seriously need to start taking notes on this. But, oh yeah. YouTube, my videos, again, I'm gonna, until I get Wi-Fi that doesn't have, like, a cap on it, I'm going to wait until Saturday to upload the videos. Podcast-wise, though, they should be posted at least, I'm going to say 11 to 12 hours after my actual episodes on here. Due to the simple fact right now I'm doing okay on my hotspot. But if that runs out, then I have to wait till when my partner gets home, which will be at night. And I will also be incorporating 2 nights a week during the middle of the week, where instead of doing a morning chat, I will actually be doing a PM chat. There's cemeteries in Knoll that is named Holt Cemetery. It's not open anymore to tourists. The people burn there and very poor and cannot afford a service. Wow. See, I didn't know that. I did recently find out that, and this actually pisses me off because one of them I'm never going to be able to see if they actually go through with this. The cemetery, or the actual cemetery that Marie Laveau is in, it is currently not open to tourists anymore due to the simple fact people were starting to vandalize it. And then Machu Picchu, this right here broke my heart. I don't know if it's actually been put into effect, but I know it's supposed to go into effect. They are actually having to close Machu Picchu forever to tourists because the traveling and so much and social media. That's another thing that nobody's talking about. A lot of our natural wonders, like a lot of the places that all these people are going to due to social media and the boom of posting pictures and stuff, a lot of natural places around the world that are like natural wonders, a lot of them in the past years have had to been closed for certain periods of time because we have completely fucked up the entire ecosystem. Jenny Springs here in Florida was one of them. They had to close it down because due to the pollution of people and everybody going there, it was actually starting to damage the ecosystem. And not Machu Picchu, but where's this at? I want to say it's in Peru, but it's basically, it was the places where you have like these islands, but they look like little mountains, and like the water was crystal clear to where you could see completely down in the middle of it, and it was a hot spot. There's this little cove there. They actually had to shut that completely down and close it off to all tourists because the water had become so polluted that it went from being clear blue to green and yucky and stuff. And that like makes me angry because now I may never be able to go to Machu Picchu. And I want to go to Machu Picchu just due to the simple fact it's insane that a culture that old built something that is still here. Think about that. Like, that's going to go off into it. That's going to send me off into a whole nother rant. But We're slowly getting there. I was just annulled for the Day of the Dead celebration at St. Louis Cemetery. We're open, including the one. Oh, okay. See, thank you. I did not know that. The last that I heard, they were closed. They had it closed off because people were basically there was damage that was to the grave or to the tomb. They may have fixed it. I hope they did because I would love to go there. And with that, I say this a lot, and there may be one day where, like, I'll straight up throw this out there and who I'm actually talking about. But with YouTube and other practitioners out there, for one, this is something I need to start saying in all of it. When it comes to your natal chart or birth chart, be extremely careful of who you show that to, especially if they are a practitioner. On top of that, to the sprouts, when it comes to your Book of Shadows, when it comes to your grimoire, and when it comes to some of your magic, until you are fully at the point, and you will know it internally, when you know that your magic and your confidence is strong enough to where the shields and the protection that you have on you, nothing can penetrate that, I would advise against posting anything of your magic, any of your spells, especially if you are new, just due to the simple fact you may get a lot of people that's going to tell you, no, you're doing this wrong, you're doing that wrong, and that will hurt anything. But one of the most important parts is there are, in magic, everybody has a specific, like a fingerprint. So when you start doing magic, you do leave like a fingerprint or a calling card on every single thing that you do. And depending on the person, if they can, and if they're sensitive to it, there are people that can pick up on different types of magic. I can, for example. And what I mean by that is, no, it's not like, I look at it and I see this glowing fingerprint, but I get a vibe of who that magic came from. But be extremely careful of what you post and how you post it. Me, myself, I've posted a lot of my stuff, but I also post it in certain ways to where you're only seeing what I want you to see. You're not seeing all the other stuff. And the reason I'm stating that is because you do not necessarily have to have a physical object or a physical representation of a person you're trying to target. But think about it. If you post a picture of your Book of Shadows online and somebody copies that, prints it out, and puts it on their altar, they have everything they would need to fuck your life up. Not saying that's a normal thing, but I do have to state this, that, and this could just be paranoia for me, but being friends with witches, it's a great thing, and at the same time, it's a very confusing thing. It can be, because you have to make sure you're trusting the person you're with, because you think your life's messed up now, just imagine, that thought in the back of your head, well, shit, I don't want to, when you start incorporating more magical people in your life, the normal, mundane, like, arguments and stuff people have, those can get heightened due to the simple fact people can and will and may do magic on you. So that's just a precautionary. And again, that may make me sound like a hypocrite due to the simple fact all the stuff I do post, but there's a lot of stuff that I don't post either. So, like, because, like, on Instagram example, I love using Instagram's cameras and filters due to the simple fact that I can, in the videos or in the content, and working with the filters, basically you're only going to see what I want you to see. There's a reason I keep my room and my area and everything dark like this. For one, it's very comforting and relaxing, but for two, it also helps me, because, yeah, I want the world to see me, but at the same time, I do know that me doing this and me putting this in there, that there will be some people that, I don't know the reasonings, but, they may try to throw some shade or something like that. And go ahead, you can, but that's not my point here. I'm not trying to throw shade. But back to what I was trying to talk to. Be very careful of who you listen to when it comes to other YouTubers with, like, following stuff like that. I want to do a full-on video of kind of what I've been talking about, because I know I'm very, like, shaded with this, but there's a particular YouTuber who has a spotlight. That's fine. I don't care. But I wanted to warn people because this person is not what they are throwing themselves off to be. Yes, yes, you have to be very, very choosy of who you have around you and who you don't when it comes to the magical practices. And on top of that, do not, especially for the sprouts, please listen to me if you take anything from this video or this podcast, listen to this. Be very careful with who you also practice with as well. Because if you're new and the other person is more advanced, if they're like, when you involve magic in your social life and your friend's life, things get a little bit more complicated because you always do have to have that thought in your head, well, shit, I just pissed this person off. Would they do that? But when it comes to spells and stuff like that, or jewelry, for example, or stuff like that, when you're showing people your altar or stuff like that. For one, if anybody, I don't care if you've been practicing for 10, 20 years, you should already know this. When it comes to another witch's tools or magical things, unless they specifically say, yes, you can touch and feel anything in this room, don't touch shit. And if you do, ask. Ask. Because, yeah, I may have a spell over here. What happens if that's a curse? If you come in here, pick that bitch up, I don't know what's going to happen to you. You just interfere with something I was doing. So, like, and then on top of that, also, it goes in with the, like, pentagram and stuff like that. A lot of people say you're supposed to hide your pentagram if you're in, like, say, a group of non-believers. Because, or when you post your spells online. With me, traditionally, I'll wait a day or two from the time that I actually did the spell and took the pictures from the time that I post it, due to the simple fact, people can send you energy. So, like, if they take it as jealous or they feel inferior to it, they could, without intentionally doing it, it can affect your magic. That's why you're also not really supposed to talk about magic that you've done until, some people say a week, other people say a lunar cycle. Due to the simple fact of it does take time for magic to manifest and magic to, boom and blossom. And in that time, there's very crucial states to where if anything like any negativity or anything like that, negative thinking, doubting or anything like that, that can affect that spell if it hasn't fully manifested yet. And, I mean, traditionally with me, I normally only have one person I talk to anyways, specifically about my magic, which is my partner. I have been talking more about it on here and on groups and stuff, but my partner's one of the only ones that I go fully in-depth into what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, and stuff like that. And it took 3 years actually, of us being together before I felt like I could do that. Not to mention, like, I bounce ideas off his head all the time. He is a very, very analytical, serious thinker, when I'm more of my head's in the clouds and I'm dancing to music that's not playing. But that's also that's the balance. So yeah, and for that, another thing that I've been exploring, and I made an announcement on here, for guys, not talking about sexuality or anything, but for guys who are joining the craft, it can sometimes feel like you may not fully get a connection due to there is a lot of feminine power. But that's also, actually, it's something my partner has just been recently called to. For me, it's different because I'm two-spirit. I believe that's the correct way of saying that, or androgynous. I believe that I'm the perfect imbalance of masculine and femininity. And through that, and through me embracing that feminine side and also me embracing that more masculine side, I've realized that for actually male or female, this needs to be done in your craft too. You need to find a balance between that, because once you do, it opens up so many doors, it's not even funny. And what I mean by that is it changes your perspective. And it's very funny that I say that is because when it comes to me, like, if I'm a third person listening in to conversations, don't bring me in, because I'm that person due to the simple fact I've embraced the feminine side that I have and also the masculine side. 9 times out of 10, a lot of people say I think my brain works like a female's brain would. So, like, I love it because I, like, also confusing, too, because I'm like, well, I honestly see everything she's saying, and I completely understand it and agree with it, but at the same time, I also see what he's stating. So, like, but once you, and if you work with the goddesses, or if you don't, like I stated, I work with them, I do not worship them, I do not like that word worship, but, being hugged, this may be a weird terminology to say, but is what came to mind. Being hugged by the goddess is one of the best feelings in the world. And the reason that is because, like, it's on a level that I don't even know if I could put into words. It's just warm, nurturing, and safe, and, like, you know, you're gonna be okay. Now, not stating that you know, the goddess is just nurturing and safe. Trust me, there are plenty of goddesses out there that you do not want to piss off. And there are some goddesses out there that supposedly they don't work with men at all. But kind of goes in with your intention and beliefs on that. But I don't follow a specific path. I work more with my ancestors than I do anything. And believe it or not, that was actually what kind of led to this decision, because with my grandmother passing away, my Aunt Tammy passing away last year, or the year before last and last year, or this year and last year. Wow, this 2020 is about to screw me up. With them passing away, it kind of, like, it shook my world in a way that I never understood, because I was still holding on to some of the talks and some of the conversations and some of the beliefs that they had about my sexuality or my spirituality. So I was like, wait, they just passed away and I'm working with my ancestors, so does that mean I'm going to offend them? And it completely fucked me up. Like, it fucked everything up that I was doing. Until I had the thought, I think it was actually doing one of these lives, the thought came to me that, wait, when you die, we lose that human side, that those basic thoughts that just kind of keep us down. We lose that, and we kind of, in a way, we connect back to the spiritual knowledge, the universal knowledge. And with that, I realized that my ancestors are more proud of me now than they were alive, due to the simple fact that I am being more authentic, and I am discovering and showing a side to me that I was so afraid of even admitting to myself, and that I was also so afraid of what my family was going to think and what everybody else was going to think. And then through these and through my partner and the support system that I have, I realized, for one, who the fuck cares? It's my life. And for two, the people that don't like this new change, then obviously they weren't what they said they were anyways, because, you know, they don't like that I'm more feminine or bullshit like that. And that's fine. We have things in our lives that, why are my lights flickering? Time to get the salt. For anybody who doesn't know that, that's a, supernatural TV show. Yeah, thank you so much. I love how you put that. You are a physical embodiment of what your ancestors prayed for. I hope so much, because once I actually verbally stated that I'm androgynous and that I'm both masculine and feminine, but balanced in it, it was just like something clicked. Not just inside me, on the outside of me too, but it was like something clicked, and it was like, you got it. Yes. And since then, the people that listen to this on a podcast won't be able to see it, but it's very weird, but I'm very proud of these. These are my actual nails that I've been growing. And that's a statement for me, in the simple fact, normally I bite them off, but I've actually been, one of the reasons you see my nails black all the time with black fingernail polish, is because I realized if I have fingernail polish on them, I can't bite my nails. But I've been letting them grow out, and I'm very proud of them. Because eventually I'm going to have tiny little claws. But, yes, and really quick, let me go over this card. I still want to talk a little bit more. For the people that are listening to this as a podcast, again, I'm about to go over the fourth card in this deck of Spirit of the Will Meditational deck. And we're going to go over the fourth one. And yeah, I got to figure something out with the podcast because I know this may be slightly annoying. I guess I'll post a link or something. I don't know. Anyways, it is Grandmother Moon, Self-Reflection, Inner Rhythms, and Intuition. And that is number 4. I love the artwork to this. Like, there's one of these cards that, when we get there, I'll let you know, because I'm actually planning on getting it tattooed on me. It's all 4 of my animals, my birds that I've always been associated with, in a whole. But, here we go. The prophecy, or what the card is about. Trust your instincts when it comes to the matters of the heart. Just as Grandmother Moon moves through different stages to complete her cycle, you too learn to follow the natural rhythms of your own body. Take a look at your life. Are you at the seed stage of a relationship or project? If so, call upon the energies of the Grandmother Moon to help you see through the compilation. Now the opportune time for you to explore your body's own natural rhythm. If you are working in a creative field, discover your peak production moments by becoming one with the creative powers within you. Your psychic abilities are strengthening now, so pay close attention to the messages around you. Grandmother Moon offers the gift of self-reflection. Take the time now to delve into inner self. Delve you into your inner self so you can learn to make the most of your natural creative rhythm. Prayer, or the affirmation that these cards have. I take the necessary time to learn from my body's natural rhythms. I honor you, great Grandmother Moon, for teaching me to become one with the creative power within me. That is so cool, because that's literally almost what I've been talking about in this live today. And again, people, I don't read these cards and then think about what I'm going to talk about. But that also happened in the Halloween Oracle deck that I broke down. It got to a point to where almost every card I pulled at the end of the show was also basically the same message that I was giving through. And it's just, like, for one, I love this deck. This deck is a really, really good deck. Especially emotionally. It's very, very emotional. There was something else that I actually thought about when I was talking, while I was reading this, and I, completely spaced. So yeah. New podcast will be up on Spotify. I'm so excited, too, because it looks 10 times more professional than I thought it ever would. Whoop, whoop. And I haven't picked the dates of when I'm going to do the nightly live, but I will be advertising about that. Also, if you're late to seeing this, or if you see this after I'm off, or I didn't really advertise this morning because I was up late last night, so it messed my due to the holidays, my sleeping schedule is completely messed up. So I wind up sleeping through my 7 o'clock alarms, and I wind up waking up at 8:30 or 8:40, which roughly gives me an hour to get ready before I do these. Because normally, if I wake up at 6 or 7, I'll watch 1 to 2 of my shows, or at least an episode of them, and then I get up, drink coffee, I'll drink coffee and watch my show, feed the cats, take a shower, and then normally around that time, it's about 9:30 or about 9 o'clock. And that gives me a full hour to get ready, advertise, and then go live. That has not happened this week, at all. So I have to get my sleep routine back on schedule. Thank you. But yeah, so a lot of things they're going to get big. But just know, if you see this, unless otherwise stated, around 10 a.m. Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. or Eastern Standard Time, there will be a live. Even if I don't advertise about it, and if there's not, 9 times out of 10, I'll normally post it the following day, or I'll post it in this episode, that I will not be doing one the following day. Now, I won't tomorrow, due to the simple fact tomorrow is Saturday. So, or I may, I don't know. Right now, I don't believe I am. But for all I know, there could be a tipsy conspiracy corner in there. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out all this, and I'm doing everything very slowly because I don't want to, like, blast off before I'm ready and the entire thing fall apart. So, I'm letting this slowly grow. But yeah, if you do listen to this on a podcast, thank you so much for listening to it. And if you are listening to a podcast, you should totally check out my other pages. I have loads more content on them. My Instagram, if you want to know what my magic and what my life looks like, follow me on Instagram. Fire_Lotus_D_witch. If you want to know just in general, watch my lives instead of listening to this as a podcast, then follow my page, Fire Lotus the Witch. If you want to watch these and don't want to listen to the podcast, my YouTube page, Fire Lotus the Witch. My Twitter, Fire Lotus the Witch. And my TikTok is also Fire Lotus the Witch. Now, with the TikTok, I have my personal artistic videos that I create. I have 2 advertisements for 3 Sleeping Eyes Apothecary of the box that I got. But I also have a bunch of witchy tips on there. Basically, they're 60 to 30 second videos that have different types of witchy knowledge and witchy tips on, like, the cinnamon brooms that they sell in stores now, especially due to the holidays. Get them, because you can hang them up on your door to bring prosperity in. They also can represent protection. She shells. You can put she shells up in your windowsills of your house, and that's a protection. So, witchy stuff like that, just witchy tips. I have to get back into that, but right now this right here has become my baby. So all of my resources and everything are going into these lives and the podcast. So yeah, with that being stated, I think I covered all the bases on everything I was going to do and talk about. If you are watching this, thank you so much for tuning in, and please share or like or comment somebody or tag somebody in it. I'm just trying to get these videos and everything out there. And my main plan for this is, once I get, like, say at least 10 to 15 people that, like, tune in every single morning, or every single one that I do, then that's when I'm gonna, like, start branching out and doing different things. But right now, I'm slowly, I at least have 5 to 7 people that normally follow these, like clockwork, which is amazing. Thank you so much. But yes, if you will, the only thing that I'm asking, if you do watch these, is share it. If it resonates with you, share it. You don't have to necessarily share it on your wall. Share it in a group. Just share it to get other people out there, to get these out there. And if you're listening to this on a podcast, you should totally share this and let people know. Next month, sometime next month, I will be incorporating, hopefully trying, I actually need to do a test one before I actually start, so I can figure out, but I will be bringing different people in, during my lives and podcast-wise, and doing interviews. Primarily, all of them are practitioners in their own ways. One is in the UK, he lives in the UK, but 2 of them are small business owners, and then other ones are practitioners, small business owners, or they're creators of YouTube or content or stuff like that, all to do with spirituality. There's supposed to be a live of Akasha Records. There will be some more of these episodes in the future will actually be, like, planned out to where they will be specifically about this or that or this. But like I said, the holidays have completely thrown everything off. So yeah, January, shit's going to go back to normally. So yeah, and sorry for everybody. Again, if you're 18 or older, you should be listening to this. If you're not 18, you need to stop, because I drop the F-bomb a lot. But that's me. I cuss in everyday life. And I am trying to be 100% authentic and as real as possible and as transparent as possible as I can with these, just due to the simple fact, if I ever meet any of you, I would like to be the same person that you watch and listen to as the same person I am in life, which I am. And trust me, the more confident I get behind this camera, the more funniness and silliness you will see from me or hear from me. So yes, with that being said, further ado, I will be cutting this. So thank you everybody who has tuned in and has commented and has watched me. Thank you so much. Again, thank y'all so much. We broke 200 page likes, 200 something followers. That is insane. I'm officially on Spotify. And what's really insane are the things that I just mentioned were things that I talked about in October that I would like to have manifested by the end of this year. And I did it. We did it. Thanks to y'all. Thanks to y'all. We did it. And just think, a year from now, this point next year, I don't even know. My mind can't like wrap around of where these are going and where these will be. So thank y'all so much. But yes, without further ado, I am Fire Lotus. Thank you. I hope you all have a magical morning, noon, or night. I don't know your life. I don't know if you're coming in, going to work, going to sleep. I don't know. But either way, today is Friday, so what? Happy Friday. And yeah, I hope y'all have a very magical weekend. And yeah, next week I'm excited. We will be rolling in 2020, y'all. What? Peace.